with those in power. But just what could have gone wrong with Uganda's politics? Well, elders and veteran politicians Israel Mayengo, Dr. Frank Nawiso, and Professor Ogenga Latigo traces the standoff to as early as the pre- and post-independence Uganda, where they suggest that the country adopted a constitutional arrangement that didn't support political rivalry, leading to the current political head.
If you have a constitution that will permit rivalries, a constitution that will permit at all times people to be at loggerheads, there's no way you can avoid the type of things that we are worried about.
People don't want to leave their positions peacefully. And they keep on bringing in all sorts of laws to protect themselves.
Unfortunately, they don't realize that their own actions, they will all be victims of the consequences, together with us. That is the only thing that pains me.
Shortly after independence, there was 1966 crisis, leading to the exiling of Kabaka Mutesa II on suspicion of a planned coup to oust Prime Minister Milton Obote. In 1971 coup d'etat, the army boss Idi Amin Dada waged a successful coup against Obote. In 1986, Museveni held an armed rebellion against the Obote II government.
The executive office which we have is the cause of contention for all the problems that we have had. We have never had a proper way of changing the executive bosses. In other words, we have not had a proper election ever since independence.
Because usually the opposition does not have power to provoke. They don't have arms. The arms are owned by government, or people called the armed forces. So the government has to exercise a great deal of restraint and concern for their people.
To fix this problem, the veteran politicians want Constitutional Review Commission instituted urgently to enact laws that encourages political rivalry and reduce powers of the executive.
The Parliament insists that a constitutional review must take place. And when it succeeds in doing that, then a review commission is set up, a proper constitution is drawn, and after it's drawn, we leave constitutionalism to God.
So it is possible. And that is what pains me, that a country where so much is possible cannot have the opportunity to tap the possibilities.
According to the veteran politicians, President Yoweri Museveni purported to fix the problem, but instead ended up amending the laws to extend his stay in power. The Review Commission will also reinstate constitutional amendments like reinstate term limit, the age limit, scrap of the Public Order Management Act, strip of powers of appointing judges and the Electoral Commission officials.
So that the Electoral Commission does not owe allegiance to the president. And similarly, that the judiciary does not owe allegiance to the president.
Richard Olweny, NBS, Sinrise.
Now, speaking of judicial reforms or constitutional reforms, despite the judiciary's continuous plea for more money from the government to enhance public's quick access to justice, the public and other players in the docket feel the judiciary owes them accountability first of the performance by the increment of the judicial officers so far. According to the Chief Justice, Owinyi Dolo, the process of justice delivery has multiple dynamics that do not necessarily spell key performance indicators for the members on the bench.
In the hope of getting relief from demoralizing backlog, the Chief Justice Alfonso Owinyi Dolo extended his plea to President Yoweri Museveni to enhance a corresponding budgetary allocation, a request that the President seemed not to concur with.
Once we have the requisite budgetary provision, we can and we will make a difference in rendering justice in this country.
That a country without money will have no justice. What if you don't have enough money?
He agreed that the judiciary deserves more.
Nevertheless, the judiciary was allocated over 350 billion shillings in the financial year 2021-2022 from 199 billion shillings in the financial year 2020-2021.
We did massive recruitment. It's not only recruitment, but facilitating those who are recruited. Transport, ICT, to serve very, very many aspects of judicial work.
Despite this, there are several questions lingering on the visible work that is already done by the newly recruited judicial officers given the unending case backlog.
Where there is a hard-working judicial officer, litigants would know. Litigants will come and tell you that this new judge, this new magistrate has cleared the backlog here, has weeded out corruption here. Where there is a lazy one, still litigants would know.
My plan, what my administration is doing is to completely transform what we call access to justice.
The Chief Justice Alfonso Iñidolo wants the public to be cognizant that the delivery of justice has no defined marked line of how many cases should be accomplished in what amount of time.
Decision making, adjudication is a very complex matter. I can handle one file only, and it is the equivalent of 30 files. I'll give you a living example. When I was a High Court judge, I handled the case, the Kampala bombing case. It took 2 years to finish it. Now with ordinary files, I don't know how many files one would finish in 2 years. Over 100.
According to the Chief Justice, the justification of more pleas for funds seeks to quench other dire bottlenecks that are not known by the public, yet they slow down the process of delivery of justice.
Disposal of cases, and it has started, has completely changed. It's now faster. It is even bigger at the magistrate grade 1 level, where we have recruited. We used to be 100 and something, now we are 300. And that's why you can see her in more places than before. And what would take 6 hours to achieve is done in 1 hour.
According to Advocate George Masisi, the financial boost to the judicial fraternity is welcome, but the judiciary needs to change the mode of work.
The work methods have not changed. We still have impromptu judicial conferences which keep on disrupting the flow of hearing of the cases. Judicial conferences are okay if only they could be scheduled and scheduled timely, but you find that many times they disrupt the flow of hearings.
Shamim Nabakoza, Adam Nuamanya, NBS.
Now today is a special day in the corridors of security and the UPDF. And as we speak, preparations are underway in Mbara district at Kacheka grounds to host the 42nd Tarehe Sita celebrations that will be happening today. This is the first time Mbara is hosting the celebrations since 1981.
Event organizers spent the day setting up the stage ready ahead of Monday's 6th February Tarehe Sita celebrations. At Mbara High School playgrounds, the Army organized sports activities with teams from Mbara. These included netball and football that were attended by the Chief of Defence Forces, the Line Minister and other generals. Defence Minister Vincent Sempija says that despite the growth of the Army in many aspects, it is still struggling with insufficient resources to enable it carry out its work efficiently.
The sector of the Army has also faced the squeeze. The economy has always been not able to serve the Army like would have expected.
The Defence Minister says the hosts, Mbara, contributed a lot to the armed struggle.
They contributed their sons and daughters at the beginning and up to now. They have also been part of the successes that UPDF has achieved, because they certainly contributed their children. Therefore, they formed the foundation.
Mbara region has never hosted the event since 1981. This year's theme is recognizing the sacrifice of the founders of the People's Revolution for socio-economic transformation. Tarehe Sita is marked every 6th of February to remember the day the National Resistance Army, led by Yoweri Museveni, launched an armed struggle to end misrule in Uganda. Kanarim Gume, NBS.
Now, in the neighboring Kenya, a lot of news coming in from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader, Raila Odinga, who has come out guns blazing in defense for the former First Lady, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, over the claims of a tax invasion. Odinga also criticized the downscaling of the retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's security, said the Kenya Revenue Authority should be left to deal with tax issues and that the matter should not be politicized. Our political affairs reporter Emmanuel Tour explains the Azimio team's launch of a new outfit dubbed the Movement for the Defense of Democracy on the third leg of the public rallies held in Kibra yesterday. Take a look.
It has been a weekly routine as the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga seeks to turn the heat on President William Ruto's administration. This time round, the Azimio caravan landing at the Kamukunji grounds, Kibra constituency, for the rally. Odinga locking horns with President William Ruto, accusing him of using state resources to frustrate the former First Lady Mama Ngina Kenyatta in his renewed war against tax evaders.
Mama huyu ametusiwa na hawa watu mbaya sana. Hawa watu hawajui pale Kenya imetoka. Huyo mama alikuwa ameshika wakati ile ya mama akafunga kule Kamiti. Akakaa kule Kamiti kwa muda mrefu zaidi.
The former premier adding that the matter of tax repayment should be left to the tax collector and that it should not be used to settle political scores. The leaders also coming to the rescue of former President Uhuru Kenyatta after the downscaling of his security last week.
Wachana na Mama Ngina, wachana na Uhuru Kenyatta. Tumeelewana vizuri? Wawache KRA ifanye kazi yake. Wasileta siasa kwa mambo ya ushuru.
Sasa ya nini hii wengine wanataka kumdhulumu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta na kutoa hata security ya president, former president.
Mutakubali serikali ya wanyakuzi. Tukatae kabisa na tuseme enough is enough. Sote tunasema Ruto must.
On Saturday, the former First Lady broke her silence, daring the government to auction her property if she is found to have not paid her taxes.
Na hiyo sio kweli. Na watu wanajua hawasemi kweli. Wanataka tu kusema ndio wasikike, ati wanataja majina.
Odinga also refuted claims that the estate duty shielded the Kenyatta and the late retired President Daniel Moi's families from paying taxes.
Pale tuko sasa, kila Mkenya sio rais peke yao, lakini Wakenya wote wamekuwa exempt. Kama wewe baba yako anafariki, unaachia wewe mali, wewe ulipe ushuru.
Don't you dare take baba for granted.
Tunataka kumwambia ya kwamba wewe ulidanganya wananchi wa Kenya ya kwamba utabadilisha maisha.
Ambaye anatupatia direction. Na hii direction ambayo tunapewa, tunatembea Kenya nzima.
Vijana power! Vijana zaga!
The Azimio team has now launched a new movement labeled Movement for the Defense of the Democracy, which Odinga says will sweep through the country in coming days. Odinga, however, steered clear of the demand letter by former electoral agency boss Wafula Chebukati that asked him to produce the alleged CCTV footage proving that Chebukati indeed visited the former Prime Minister at his home. And after conducting rallies in the capital for the past 3 weeks, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya team will now be moving to Machakos County this Friday as the anti-Ruto campaigns continue to gather momentum. Emmanuel Cho, KTN News, Kamkunji Grounds, Kibra constituency, Nairobi County.
Defending people not paying taxes in front of those that earn little but pay taxes. I don't understand it, but that is business and matters of Kenyan politics. To take a short commercial break and return with our very own. Stay tuned.
Explore, enjoy and dance to the latest content, beats and kawozi from Uganda and beyond. Simply go to your Play Store or App Store right now, find Afro Mobile, download it straight to your phone and get started. Is it TV you want? Simply open the app, click on TV, select the channel you want and watch live. Are you busy right now? Then check out On Demand or enjoy in your free time. Afro Mobile. The future is now.
Ebyobufuzi bya Uganda biddukanga kalimi kassaawa. Buli kiseera wabaawo ekipya tuganoonya okuva gye gatandikira ne tukwata ku bitiisa gasakibwa bamanyi ne gasengejjebwa abakugu. Tukozesa tekinologiya owa waggulu okugakuwa butereevu nga bwe gagwawo. Tosuwa amasengejje buli lunaku ku ssaawa emu ey'olweggulo.
Only Sanyuka Prime brings you all the exciting action in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League. Watch over 150 live games, highlights, replays, and so much more StarTimes Uganda Premier League content.
Bricks away, and it's a goal in!
The StarTimes Uganda Premier League, only on StarTimes.
Brought to you by MTN, the official broadcast sponsor.
This is NBS Sunrise. For those who have just joined us in this segment, we want to look at what is happening in the business world. Now, borrowers continue to lose properties almost daily, raising concerns over the performance of the economy and the adherence to the Bank of Uganda direction on restructuring of loans. Economists say that the government should guide for the third time on commercial loan restructuring by commercial banks the same way it did during the COVID-19 pandemic, or run a risk of poor financial sector performance. This comes in the wake of the growing number of advertisements by commercial banks in the dailies selling off collateral from their clients. Akim Wampamba has more.
Now, a mere flip through all these dailies reveals or comes with painful revelations of commercial banks trying to sell assets of their clients in a bid to recover their money. But tonight we ask, what could have been the problem to find that banks are always on the run with their customers to recover their money?
Upon instruction from our client, a financial institution, we shall proceed to sell by auction or private treaty the motor vehicle unless the debtor pays all the monies owing, including the principal and the interest, plus all our fees and disbursements before the date of sale. The ads in the papers read. But as commercial banks sell off assets of their debt-riddled customers, their businesses are struggling with low sales, yet their operational expenses are high. Dr. Fred Muhumuza, a senior economist, says that the continued fight between the Bank of Uganda and inflation meant that the loans had to become expensive.
What are the key drivers of interest rates? Your government is part of the problem because it's the main borrower in this space where money is scarce. And when money is scarce and there is a big borrowing need by such a credible big entity, sovereign like a government, the government will set the minimum rate.
Data from the Bank of Uganda indicates that in the second quarter of 2022, loans wrote off by Ugandan supervised financial institutions rose by 26.1 billion shillings, about $7 million, to 128 billion shillings in the third quarter. The same financial stability report also indicated that the asset quality of the commercial banks improved across the sector due to prudent write-off of bad loans. Commercial lawyer Louis Namwanja, however, says that some commercial banks did not follow the Bank of Uganda's advice on restructuring of loans from the COVID-19 pandemic.
It is very apparent that very many loans were rescheduled to the detriment of the people. One, people are now paying more than they used to pay pre-COVID. People are paying interest on interest. Though it was done in a very smart way, crafted in a very smart way. So it took a smart lawyer or an accountant to know that they compounded interest here. Let's go and complain.
To him, some businesses utterly failed to pay because interest did not only double, but also tripled.
There is no precedent of the central bank holding those individual private banks to account. Most people always seek relief from courts. There is a laxity. The central bank is not as aggressive. That's why you see all the loans that were rescheduled have not even yielded the benefits that they were intended to yield.
Dr. Fred Muhumuza insists that now more than ever before, decisions to take loans should be delayed since the economy is not out of the woods yet.
Because every borrower had an expectation on the performance of the economy. I borrowed to start a school. Now I'm hearing people saying schools are a business. True. But they earn money from fees. Just like all the other businesses earn money from selling the product and the service that they have generated.
As hopelessness and fear over business survival flare up in the air, economists say that there is still some room for government to offer a third round of loan restructuring of commercial loans.
We need to fix the economy to solve this because the banks are also in business.
As businesses and their owners alike hang onto the tiny thread of hope to make it out of the financial doldrums, experts have called for prudence in cash flow management as every coin counts. Hakim Wampamba, NBS, Sunrise.
Well, happening across the world, a lot is, of course, happening. But then I'm going to pick on just one, and that is the peace pilgrimage made by the Pope in South Sudan. Now, one interesting conversation, I think, that has come out of that is him urging the religious leaders to openly speak out on the injustice that is happening in South Sudan, telling them they cannot remain neutral, as of course as they watch on, and the country is being broken down by all the civil tension and wars that have happened since 2011 when it became a new state. Despite the 2018 deal, we know that a peace deal, we know that, of course, ethnic tensions have continued to rise, and it's estimated that over 400,000 people have since died since then. He's on a papal visit, on a 3-day papal visit, and South Sudan is having a great deal of conversation and debate ever since he stepped in there. Of course, hundreds and thousands of people have gathered to at least even have a glance at the Pope, which is a good thing. We love to see that. There is still hope and there is faith, and we do hope that his visit can mean something for the people of South Sudan and the bloc at large, considering we're also having a conversation about the DRC with all the heads of states in Burundi. A lot is happening, and it's a new week, so be sure here at the Political Command Center will keep you updated as any of it comes up. Victoria Bagaya Chigundi is my name. I'll leave it here for now. Good morning.
Sanyuka Prime brings you all the exciting action in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League. Watch over 150 live games, highlights, replays, and so much more StarTimes Uganda Premier League content.
Breaks away, and it's a goal!
The StarTimes Uganda Premier League, only on StarTimes.
Brought to you by MTN, the official broadcast sponsor.
Do you desire to have an event that is exceptional, notable, and extraordinary? Then you can rely on Next Events to plan and manage your next event, making it the best you've ever had. Concerts, conferences, seminars, corporate events, and so much more. We specialize in making your event the best in the industry. And with our LED screen mounted digital trucks and on-ground